So welcome back. I missed the adjustment, sorry. Yeah. So we have started with a very interesting topic, which is transmission lines, right? So we started with what? The transmission lines transfer energy from one point to the other point. Examples are your coaxial cable, TV cable, and optical fiber cable, right? So there is an effect called as transit time effect, right? So it is exhibited especially at high frequencies and when the length of the transmission line is very high, right? So because of this, what happens? Because of this transit time effect, KVL and KCL fail. So then the question arises how to analyze the transmission line. So what we do, so if I have a transmission line, right? So you are not interested in the load as of now, so we will not draw it. So this symbol is for transmission line, remember. So what we do is we divide the transmission line into very small segments, each of length delta z, such that delta z tends to 0, right? And we try to analyze the transmission line here such that the transit time effect is negligible. So what happens? KVL and KCL can be applied, right? So we saw that the equivalent circuit is somewhat like this. Don't get confused if you are worried about this R and L. We again say that it is uh, adjusted here. Okay. So as we did in the derivation. So this is a small section of a transmission line. Then what we do to analyze, we apply KVL to the outermost loop. So what we got? dV by dz equal to minus of R plus j omega L into I. Similarly, we got di by dz equal to minus of G plus j omega C into V. Right? And we said that this is the characteristic equation of a transmission line, or also called as telegrapher's equation. So there is a nice history behind that related to Oliver Heaviside. So if you want, you can refer the internet for it, or you can ask me for the sources. I'll give you the relevant sources for that story, why they are called as telegrapher's equations. So these are called as what? Telegrapher's equations or characteristic equations. So a 10 marks question might come regarding this derivation or analysis of a transmission link. So next, what we said that our Ohm's law, usual Ohm's law, is V equal to IR. So what is the difference here? So this is an algebraic expression, but whenever you go to high frequency, what happens? The Ohm's law is not applicable because KVL itself is not applicable. So this voltage and current relations are changed to this, right? So if you see, this is a derivative of Z. So it means what? V has to be a function of Z. So obviously these are all function of Z, right? So voltage change on every change of Z. So you are traveling along the length, means what is changing? The Z is changing, right? Means voltage changes on each and every point on the transmission line. Similarly, and same is with the current. So because of this, we can obviously say that impedance at each and every point on the transmission line also changes. So that is the first takeaway from transmission line. Second takeaway, I can say that KVL and KCL fails, right? So next, what we did, we again differentiated with this expression because these are coupled equations. We got d square V by dz square into some constant into di by dz, right? So we then said that that constant is gamma square. So gamma was equal to square root of R plus j omega L into G plus j omega C. So this is what we defined the constant gamma as. So, and it is what? A complex thing. So we said it is alpha plus j beta. So alpha was what? Attenuation constant, and beta is phase constant, and consequently gamma was called as propagation constant. So what are the reasons to call in this way? Also we saw. And what is the unit for propagation constant? Per meter. For alpha it is Napier per meter, and we also saw that 1 Napier per meter equal to 8.686 dB, and phase unit is what? Radians per meter, right? So this we saw. Then what we did is we have dV by dz. So this is a different we'll have d square V by dz square, right? So what will be d square V by dz square equal to, we said it is gamma square I of z, right? So this is a differential equation of order 2, V of z. Similarly we can write for I. So we've got V of z equal to V plus e raised to minus gamma z plus V minus e raised to gamma z. Similarly we can write I of z was I plus e raised to minus gamma z plus I minus e raised to gamma z, right? So this is what we got yesterday. So what we did, we took this v of z and we substituted here, because ultimately we have got v of z from this equation, right? So we substituted this, separated the real and imaginary parts of e raised to minus gamma l and e raised to gamma l. So then what we got some expression which we reduced to v plus upon I plus equal to square root of r plus j omega l upon g plus j omega c. No bracket is not required, and this was also equal to minus v minus upon I minus. So I said r, l, g and c are characteristic parameters of a transmission line, and v plus I v upon I gives the unit of impedance. So this is the impedance, so and it is called as characteristic impedance. So it is denoted by what? And z naught, right? Z is capital and this is 0, not O, right? So this is the characteristic impedance, right? So this is what we stopped. So I said we'll see some interesting things in the next lecture. So let's see what are those interesting things. So again, if I have a source and I have a transmission line, let's not worry of the load as of now, right? So one point is important. So what is this v plus e raised to minus gamma z? We have seen in our basic electromagnetics first 4 modules, previous modules, that this is a forward traveling wave, right? So if you are worried, sir, there is no time term here. See, you are giving a AC source, so obviously it is dependent on time. So as we saw in electromagnetics, whenever you have to introduce time, you will multiply by what? E raised to j omega t, right? So that term is implicit here, okay? So don't worry about that. So similarly, I'll have this will be what? Backward traveling wave. So you can see the previous wave propagation videos, so where they will find why it is a forward traveling wave and a backward traveling wave, right? So in short, what happens in a transmission line, the signal travels in the form of waves, right? So essentially we have a forward traveling wave. So when this source is switched on, we have a forward traveling wave going like this, and we have a backward traveling wave again coming towards the source, okay? So this is what is understood from these things, right? So what is this z naught? Is the characteristic impedance, right? So when it is a forward traveling wave, so it is v plus I plus, so they are associated with forward traveling wave, right? Means, and it is positive, right? Means what? Power is dissipated here. So impedance, what it does, it is always dissipates power, right? Is the power is consumed somewhere, right? So that is where the load comes into picture. So this is my ZL load impedance, okay? So you can imagine any transistor is connected, for example, to amplify the signal, or your fan is connected, anything, okay? So this is my load. So if I am talking about forward traveling wave, the impedance is positive, means power is dissipated here, right? But if I talk about a backward traveling wave, what is the impedance? V minus upon I minus, it is minus of this quantity, so it is minus Z naught, right? So if power is getting lost, right? So obviously where will the power get lost? Here in the ZL, in the load, right? So some power is lost here, means if I am giving 5 watts here, 2 watts may get lost here, right? So 3 watts is absorbed, right? But what happens to that 2 watts, right? So this is the backward traveling wave, right? So what is the impedance here? Negative. So if this power is lost here, so can I say the opposite will happen here? For example, if I have to give you 1 rupee, very simple, I have to give you 1 rupee. But if I say now I have to give you minus 100 rupees, what does it mean? In fact, you have to give me 100 rupees. So in the same way, if characteristic impedance is negative, the power is actually generated here, right? So what happens here? The power is generated, right? Means power is actually flowing in this line also, right? So power is coming from here and hitting the source, right? So when this power hits the source, it can damage the source, okay? So the source can be damaged. So this is a very bad thing. So it is this, actually the power which is coming back is called as reflection, okay? Because what you actually desire, if you send 5 watts power, everything should be consumed in the load, 5 watts should be consumed by the load, right? Nothing should come back. But what is happening? Some of the power is coming back. For example, if you give 5 watts, 3 watts is absorbed by the load, but 2 watts is getting reflected, right? So that is where reflection comes into picture. So reflection is a very bad thing. So there are many techniques to avoid this, right? So why we should avoid this? Because obviously the source gets damaged, right? and the source are very important, and they are very costly also. So if you go to microwave engineering course in your 7th semester, you will study in final year, you will study of sources like klystrons, magnetrons, etc. So they work in the frequency, very high frequency range, in the range of gigahertz. So go to the market and ask for that. They are actually sold at the value of crores of rupees. So they are very costly. So this reflection should be avoided at any cost, because your sources are very costly, and obviously and no one wants to damage their sources, right? So reflection is very important. So so we need to obviously quantize this reflection. So that is quantized using the symbol gamma. Okay, and it is defined as simply backward traveling wave upon forward traveling wave. Okay, so again I'll write here. So how is it defined? As ratio of backward traveling wave to the forward traveling wave, right? So what is my backward traveling wave? V minus e raised to gamma z, right? So before that, since we have introduced the load, right? So there is one convention followed in transmission line parallel. So let me introduce you to that. So this is my load ZL, this is my source voltage VG, this is my transmission line. Okay. Sorry. So what we have assumed so far is that we are traveling along the transmission line from left to the right. So Z is going like this. So it is positive in this direction. But usually from where does the reflection come? It comes from the load, right? So load is, and we said that the reflection should be avoided at any cost because it can damage the source. So to minimize the reflection is the topmost priority of any designer, right? So that is where load is very important in terms of reflection. So that is why all the measurements are done from the load side. Okay, so we consider, so we take this load as the reference and not this source as the reference. So that is the reason we start from L equal to 0. So as you go towards here, what will happen? It will be positive, right? So what you see, Z is in right direction, L is in the opposite direction. So I can simply say Z is equal to minus L, right? So what will this equation become? V of Z. So Z is minus L. So V of L equal to V plus e raised to gamma L plus V minus e raised to minus gamma L, right? So therefore V of L it will become now. So we are going from Z domain to L domain. So V plus e raised to plus gamma L plus V minus e raised to minus gamma L. So similarly, what will be I of L? I of L equal to I plus e raised to gamma L plus I minus e raised to minus gamma L. But we are seeing 4 constants here, right? V plus I plus V minus I minus. So I want to write this, reduce this to 2 constants. So what I can say? V plus by I plus is Z0. So this is nothing but Z0, right? So this is equal to Z0, right? So what will be I plus? I plus will be what? V plus by Z0, right? So therefore I of L equal to V plus by Z0 e raised to gamma L. And what will be V minus? So see here there is a negative sign. So I minus will be minus V minus by Z0. So this is minus, sorry. So minus I minus, V minus by Z0 e raised to minus gamma L, right? Yeah. So what is backward traveling wave now? Gamma equal to, so what is backward traveling wave? This quantity. So V minus e raised to minus gamma L upon forward traveling wave is this quantity. So V plus e raised to gamma L, right? So what you see, it is so V minus and V plus are constant. So and gamma, once the line is selected, is also constant. So it is dependent on L, right? So I can say gamma is a function of L, right? So if you simplify this, so gamma of L equal to V minus by V plus e raised to minus 2 gamma L. So what do you understand from this equation? Again, as I usually say, always say, that don't see them as mere mathematics, see them as concepts. So what is the concept here? That gamma is dependent on L. Means what? So as you travel along this line from right to the left, if there is reflection, what will happen? It will change at each and every instant of the line, right? At each and every point of the line. So reflection is different at each and every as the length changes, right? So next, let's say the length is 0. So if I say L equal to 0, what does it indicate? I am at the load itself, right? So that is denoted in a standard way as gamma suffix capital L. So what will it be? It will be nothing but V minus upon V plus, right? And this is also found here. So I can say therefore gamma of L equal to gamma suffix L e raised to minus 2 gamma L, right? So this is what gamma of L. So these expressions are very important. So after this 1 or 2 lectures, we'll go to something called as Smith chart. Okay, so which is a graphical solution to transmission lines. So there all these expressions will be important to understand the concept of Smith chart. So let's say I want to find the impedance now. So what will be at a length L, Z of L? Again, why am I interested to find the impedance at a length L? Because as we said, impedance at each and every point on the line will change, right? That's why I am interested in to find the impedance at each and every point of L. So it will be what? V of L upon I of L. We already have V of L and I of L, right? So just divide this 2. So therefore Z of L equal to V plus e raised to gamma L plus V minus e raised to minus gamma L upon V plus by Z0 e raised to gamma L minus V minus by Z0 e raised to minus gamma L, right? So what will this be? This Z0 can go up, right? So therefore Z of L equal to, instead of that what I can do is, I know V minus by V plus is what? Gamma suffix L. So I'll take V plus common. So V plus, I'll take e raised to gamma L also common. So into 1 plus V minus by V plus e raised to, this will become minus 2 gamma L, right? Upon, here I'll take V plus by Z0 e raised to gamma L common. So this will be 1 minus V minus upon V plus e raised to minus 2 gamma L. So what will be therefore Z of L equal to? So this will get cancelled. So and Z0 will come up. So this is Z0. And what is V plus by V, sorry, V minus by V plus e raised to minus 2 gamma L? Sorry. V minus by V plus e raised to minus 2 gamma L is gamma of L. So this will be Z naught into 1 plus gamma of L upon 1 minus gamma of L, right? So I want to find gamma of L now. So what will this be? By componendo dividendo. If you remember, you did it in 11th or 12th standard. So if you use componendo dividendo, you will get therefore gamma of L equal to Z of L minus Z0 upon Z of L plus Z0. Okay. So this is the expression for reflection coefficient at any point on the transmission line. Okay. So let's say I want to find the expression at the load. So at the load, what is the value of L? 0, right? So at the load, that is L equal to 0. So it is gamma of 0. So we know it is denoted by gamma L. I told you. So it will be Z of 0. So if gamma of 0 we are denoting by gamma suffix L, what will this be? Z suffix L, right? So minus Z0 upon ZL plus Z0, right? So this is the other expression. So at the load we have the direct formula. So very important point here, what is the difference between Z suffix L and Z0? Z0 is what? Characteristic impedance, right? And what is ZL? Load impedance or impedance at the load. So that is the difference. So don't get confused here. And this L is capital, remember, right? Fine. So next, okay, fine. So as I said, we need to, so reflection coefficient is very important, and what should its value be? Minimum, right? So but the problem is it is quite hard to measure reflection coefficient, right? Because if you see, I have a forward traveling wave. So this so once you switch on the source, this forward traveling wave will start traveling through the load, and what will it encounter along it? It will encounter what? A characteristic impedance Z0, right? And what is Z naught? Why it will encounter Z naught? Because Z naught is R plus J omega L upon G plus J omega C. So R, L, G, C will be constant once the lines is selected. So along the while traveling it will encounter Z naught, right? So once it travels to the load, right? If it is not designed properly, some part will get absorbed by the load and other part will be reflected, so we'll get a reflected wave, right? So what is happening when this reflection starts? You have a forward traveling wave as well as a backward traveling wave, right? So what happens, for example, if I have a wall here, I tie a rope here and then I swing it. So if you swing this rope like this, what will happen? You will see formation of standing waves. So in this M wave, I have a forward wave and a backward wave. So this will form what? Standing waves, right? So reflection coefficient means basically you want to measure how much of the wave is reflected, but practically it is a combination of both the waves. So it is very hard to measure reflection coefficient practically, right? So what we do is we define one more quantity which is called as voltage standing wave ratio. Okay, so voltage standing wave ratio, it is denoted by rho, and it is given as 1 plus magnitude of rho upon 1 minus magnitude of rho. Okay, so what is the advantages? So it measures basically the standing wave ratio, right? So it is given as V plus upon V minus. Okay, so from this, if you substitute and calculate, you will get this formula. Okay, so that derivation is not important, so I will not take it. So it is what V plus upon V minus, right? So if you know VSWR, obviously you can find gamma, right? So that is the reason we practically will measure rho and analytically will find the gamma. Okay, so that is why VSWR is important. Okay. So next is what will be the range of gamma and zero. Right? So gamma, what can happen? Okay, I'll take this range part later. So before that, let's see something called as impedance transformation relationship. Okay, so again this can be a derivation for 10 marks. So far it is not, as there was numericals based on this, but you never know, right? So what we have got, you want to find the impedance, right? So this expression is which we had got for Z of L. Where is it? Yeah, this one. We'll try to simplify it further. So we have used here to simplify it to find gamma. So let's use it to simplify and find the expression for Z of L. Okay. So again, what I can say, Z of L is what? This will get cancelled. So Z naught into 1 plus, what is this? V minus by V plus. It is gamma suffix L. Right? Gamma suffix L is V minus by V plus. E raised to minus 2 gamma L, same I can see here. So Z of L equal to Z naught into 1 plus gamma suffix L e raised to minus 2 gamma L upon 1 minus gamma suffix L e raised to minus 2 gamma L. Okay. And what is gamma L? ZL minus Z0 upon ZL plus Z0. Basically, we want it in terms of ZL and Z0. Okay. So therefore, Z of L equal to Z0 into 1 plus ZL minus Z0 upon ZL plus Z0 e raised to minus 2 gamma L2 upon 1 minus ZL minus Z0 upon ZL plus Z0 e raised to minus 2 gamma L. Okay, so obviously this is in the denominator, it is creating problems. So I'll multiply by ZL plus Z0 throughout, multiply and divide by it. So this will be equal to Z naught into ZL plus Z0 plus ZL minus Z0 e raised to minus 2 gamma L upon ZL plus Z0 plus sorry, this will be minus of ZL minus Z0 e raised to minus 2 gamma L, right? So there is a logic here. So derivations are also always based on logic, as we saw in electric field due to infinite line charge, surface charge derivations. I have taught you such that you don't need to buy it, right? So same is the thing here. So here, what this equation does is it is giving you a hint. What hint is giving? It is Z not into, okay. So that it is e raised to minus 2 theta, right? So whenever you have e raised to minus 2 theta term, right? So you divide it by half of it. So half of it is how much? E raised to minus theta by the angle which is half of it, right? So and make this plus. So it will always give you a expression which is a sine theta or a cos theta. Okay, obviously there should be a j here. But what is the problem? There is no j here, right? So let me make an assumption. What we know, gamma is alpha plus j beta. So alpha is what? Attenuation constant. If I say if line is, okay, I'll come here later. What I'll do is I'll keep it like this only. Okay. So what is half of this is e raised to minus gamma L, right? So what I can say, this will multiply and divide by e raised to gamma L. So therefore Z of L equal to ZL plus Z0 into e raised to gamma L plus ZL minus Z0. What will this become? E raised to minus gamma L upon ZL plus Z0 e raised to gamma L minus of ZL minus Z0 e raised to minus gamma L, right? So what you can think of this? Therefore Z of L equal to thing. So I'll just give you some 10 seconds or so to think. Just think over it, what I can simplify it to. So if you think ZL is common, right? So ZL e raised to gamma L plus ZL e raised to minus gamma L. So it will be what? ZL times e raised to gamma L plus e raised to minus gamma L, right? So if I multiply and divide by 2, what will I get? 2 times this upon this. So what is e raised to theta plus e raised to minus theta upon 2? It is what? Cos hyperbolic theta, right? So in that sense, what will I get? ZL cos hyperbolic gamma L. Similarly, if you calculate this, this will be Z naught sin hyperbolic gamma L upon Z naught cos hyperbolic gamma L plus ZL sin hyperbolic gamma L. So this is called as your impedance transformation relationship. Okay. So now let me, what is this equation we'll understand in some time, but first let me simplify. So again, what I was trying to do here, I'll do it now. So gamma is alpha plus j beta. So if I say line is lossless, what will be alpha? Alpha is concerned with attenuation, so attenuation will be 0. So it will be nothing but what? J beta only. So this will become what? Cos hyperbolic j theta. So what is cos hyperbolic of j theta? It is cos theta only. Similarly, if you will have sin hyperbolic of j theta, it is j sin theta. Okay, so what will this become? I missed z naught here. Okay, so it is multiplied by z naught. So therefore, z of L equal to z naught into, what will this be? ZL cos hyperbolic j beta L, right? So cos hyperbolic beta L, sorry, cos beta L. So cos beta L plus z naught into sin hyperbolic j beta L. So sin hyperbolic j beta L is what? J sin beta L, right? So j z naught sin beta L. So plus j, this is z naught sin beta L upon z naught cos beta L plus j zl sin beta L. Okay. It is not clearly visible, so I'll again write it. So final expression what you get is Z of L equal to Z naught into ZL cos of beta L plus J Z0 sin of beta L upon Z0 cos beta L plus J ZL sin of beta L. Okay, so this is called as impedance transformation relationship. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? Again, that I'll keep it as suspense. So we'll see this tomorrow. Okay.